What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Healthspan Academy. I'm your host, Craig Shearhart, and joining me today is Jack Farlow, who is a CrossFit athlete who's been to the games as a teen and is working his way up to compete now as an adult. He's got some amazing lifts. His best back squat is 450. His best deadlift is 505. Just recently, he clean and jerked 375. He snatched 285. And in 2019, when he went to the games, he was 16 in the world. So he's a pretty fit dude. We're going to talk a little bit about that, his coaching or his training methods, and what Jack's been up to lately. Jack, thanks for joining me today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Craig.
All right, man. Let's start this off with this must have all happened pretty quickly. Talk me through how you got started in the sport and how it kind of evolved to what it is today.
Yeah, I got some older siblings who kind of found it way back in the day. So they kind of telling me about it, telling my dad and mom about it, I guess. And so I went to some teens classes when I was super young, just like a couple times a week. I liked it, but I didn't really have any desire to do it more than twice a week. I played hockey at the time.
Okay.
And I even took like summers off, probably was off for like a year. And then I saw the teen games in 2015. And that's kind of what got me into trying to be good at it. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, with time, I've just kind of put more and more into it till today.
Cool. I feel like that's a similar story, except most people don't actually follow through and end up qualifying.
Yeah, it's true.
So was there a turning point where you felt like you could really make a run at this? Did you like hit a certain lift, or was it, when you're keeping up with top athletes in the gym, or was there a moment when you kind of realized this is like, could actually be your jam, or how did that kind of pan out?
I think when I kind of just got into it in like 2015, I wasn't very good. I maybe had like 3 pull-ups.
Wow.
But my siblings really, really boosted me up.
Yeah.
So like, I think I thought I was really good, and that's what kind of gave me the motivation to keep going. But I think that kind of like dies off, and you realize where you are just based off your scores versus other kids your age. And I would always like scroll back on people's Instagrams who are good to see like when they were my age, what were they hitting at this lift. And I think it wasn't until maybe even like last year's semifinals that I thought I could actually now be good in the adult division as well. I kind of blew past my expectations for the last season. So that kind of got me fired up for this year.
That's awesome. That's it's been tricky, but we're starting to see like more of the teens kind of translate into the individual. It's been like, I think there's like, you used to have these beasts years ago in the teens, they just kind of vanished when they hit that. You seem to follow through and then hit that plateau and keep building. Talk me through that first games experience back in, 2019 when you went to the games as a teen. What were the highlights? What are the kind of top memories that pop in your mind from that year?
I think even just the qualification stage was pretty nuts. I came 10th in the open, which didn't mean anything, but you had to be top 10 to make the game. So I knew I was in fighting shape, I guess, for the online qualifier, which is for the teenagers. And so that weekend was super stressful. My brother-in-law, who was kind of like was my coach at the time and still kind of helps me out with a bunch of things. He came down for the weekend, and I just remember redoing one more workout to finish the week, and I didn't beat my original score for that. And just going into the corner of the gym and kind of sobbing, and I didn't want anyone to see me because I'm not like not the type to really cry at the gym. But then I remember just that night I said I wasn't going to look at the leaderboard, but laying in my bed at like, just couldn't sleep at like 11, 12. I opened it up and it was looking good. Yeah. So that was a crazy memory. At the games, I was really just happy to be there. Yeah. Like obviously a couple good events that make you all happy, a couple bad events, but just the mindset of being happy to be there. I felt like I didn't have too many highs or too many super lows, which was good. But yeah.
That's awesome. Getting that first experience of competition, because that's like, I think an underrated piece that like as a spectator, you don't fully appreciate that training in that environment is not the same as, crushing Fran at your gym at home. Yeah. There's like jitters and like strategy and adapting and like, and working and gaming it kind of against the competitors and that kind of stuff. Are those like, did you have those kind of moments, like takeaways, like, okay, I've got a pace next to this guy and that kind of stuff, or like those kind of pieces, those start to come together?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There were only 10 kids when I was there that like sometimes they have 20. So I was thankful not to get into any like super close foot races at the end that just
It's a
wear you
dangerous
right
trap,
out.
eh?
Yeah, but it was like I'm always training with like adults for the most part, or at least I was then. And you don't really know where you stack up. Like I knew I was stronger than most of them, but maybe lacked in this. And just to see like have 9 people next to you doing the same thing, and being like, oh, well, maybe I'm not as good at this as I thought, or like, wow, I can actually excel in this was that was, I guess, the coolest part.
Cool, man. Awesome. So you talked about when you first started, it was like a couple times a week, pretty casual. Training volume obviously got to ramp up. The sport's even evolved over those, like since 2015, quite a bit. So talk about what are the major changes in your training from the early days till now? Is it training volume? Is it more intensity? Is it just more balance? Is it like hammering more your weeknesses, a bit of everything? Or how does it give me a snapshot of that?
Yeah. So when I guess in 2015, I'd already done those team classes a couple times a week. But in 2015 was when I saw the team games and went like, wow, I actually want to like try to be good at this. And that Christmas, my parents bought me like a barbell with bumpers and like a pull-up bar. Nice. So for 2 years, maybe I was just training in my garage, alone. My brother-in-law, like I said, helped me with some like the technique stuff, but he doesn't live really close to me at that point. So
wow.
I was just choosing what I did. And that was like a really good thing and also a really bad thing. I like
self-teaching yourself the Olympic list, man. That's I can't even imagine that.
I remember being really bad at handstand push-ups and like every day I would just do 50 for time. And it started off taking me like 10 minutes. Like I probably did it 5 times a week and that's probably not great for your shoulders, but I got way better at handstand push-ups. So yeah, that time I was training maybe an hour and a half a day. But like honestly, if I didn't feel like it, I just wouldn't go out. So maybe like 4 or 5 times a week I was training. And then I kind of went to the local gym, just found like some buddies at that point, training consistently for like maybe 2 hours a day. And then I started following some programs. So obviously structure gets a bit more like smart training there, spending more time, but still I wasn't like fully committed where training was like the number one priority for the day. Until probably that I moved to Waterloo here. It was like an hour away from where I used to live. And just training in the current gym I'm training at, there's a lot of really competitive people and you kind of realize what it takes to be really, really good. And that's actually when I started working with my new coach. So we've been together for about a year now and that's just way more volume, way more structure and way more commitment.
That's awesome. So you're doing most of your training at Polsky's these days, right? Yeah,
like 90%.
Yeah, cool. And train Emma Lawson's another beast there, and Polsky's Nick and Kaylin, they're monsters too. So it's cool competitive environment there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, talk me through like what a typical day looks like. Like, are you spending extra time on mobility work to warm up? Like, is there like recovery going on? Like just kind of an easy like aerobic kind of stimulus on a certain day, or like how does that work out?
So usually I guess Monday to Friday, I have like anywhere from 5 to 7 hours of in class. So, I'd say that's probably the main thing that's lacking is just like spending quality time outside of the gym, doing recovery things. I mean, I probably do a ROM WOD at night, but that's about it for, mobility and recovery. So that could be improved, but usually get up in the morning, every day except Thursday. Usually in the morning, it's like a skill aerobic piece. So working on some sort of gymnastics movement under fatigue, and maybe I'll knock out some like accessory or something. And then after school, that session will probably be like an hour and a half, for everything. And then after school, I'll go back, and this will kind of be like the bigger main session. So there'll be a bunch of lifting, a Metcon, maybe even another like conditioning piece, and then more accessory type stuff. So that one's a couple hours long.
Cool.
And then usually go home, do school, go to bed early.
Jam pack it all in school, like a small piece at the end. Engineering is no joke too. I mean, most people are like it's the opposite. Like your whole day is engineering, try to squeeze in a workout at the end.
People in my program can't seem to understand that I go to the gym every day and they don't understand I'm there for multiple hours. Like I think it's like a 45-minute couple of curls. And their mind is still blown. So
that's wild. But you know what? If it worked for Fraser, he was in school the first couple of years for engineering, and obviously panned out pretty well for that guy. So I think you got a good shot. So you talk a little bit about your coach and it's Josh, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And is he doing like all of your programming or the mixed bag, or does he program like mobility pieces for you as well? Or how directly involved is he with the X's and O's of your training?
I'd say 100%. Like he does everything I'm doing in the gym, programmed by him. A couple times a week, like I'll do a class WOD at the gym, or on Saturdays we have this like competitive group throwdown, which he's not always programming, but that makes up maybe 5% of my training.
Right.
So he's programming everything, and then we also just started working with Coach Nemo from Train Sink or Swim, and who's doing our swimming just once or twice a week too. So
that's awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you have much of a swimming background?
I don't. I did swimming lessons as a kid. Like I was never scared in the water, and I could always kind of throw a stroke together, but it wasn't proficient by any means.
Yeah. It's just a rude awakening, because I was okay as a kid and I didn't do it for years. And then after as an adult, when you're dense, you have muscle, it's just a totally different animal.
Yeah. You just think, yeah.
And it's amazing how good some of the athletes have gotten, because I have no excuse. I'm not any more muscular than any of the top guys for sure. But those guys are monsters in the water. So, so twice a week. And is that are you doing a lot of technique stuff, or is it volume, or how does that work?
We've only been working with him for a couple weeks now. So far it's just been mostly like testing, seeing where we're at. We're going to try to get like an in-person swim with him, maybe once a month or so.
Nice.
But we're sending him videos and whatnot. And you can kind of give feedback on, technique things. And then he's programming specific, things in the warm up that will target that issue, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's chat a little bit about nutrition. So there's a mixed bag with this stuff, and I feel like there's tons of different directions you could take it: tracking macros, tracking micros, timing of your nutrition. Are you kind of taking care of that piece yourself? Do you have nutritionists you work with? Do you track stuff, or what does your nutrition strategy or approach look like?
Yeah, I work with Mike from M2 Performance Nutrition. I've been with him for a bit now, and he's like super awesome. Cool. Not only just in terms of like macros, like what I should be eating, but also just like mental headspace he can help with as well, which is super cool. That's awesome. I feel like those two kind of intertwine a lot. So
for sure.
He's awesome with that. A couple of check-ins a week, but I'm just weighing everything, tracking macros. I try to eat pretty clean, especially in season, avoiding like the crappy oils and whatnot. But that being said, it can't just be all like spinach and rice and chicken to get in the amount of food I eat. So
you gotta get those calories in somehow.
Yeah, it's fairly clean, I'd say, but
fair enough. It's university life is, I feel like no one has a squeaky clean diet in any way. That's awesome. Let's talk. I want to dive into a bit of mobility. You talked about ROMWOD. So you're doing that for about an hour a night. Is that are you doing just a basic programming, or is that by field? Do you have specific joints you'll hit on a certain day, or how regimented are you with that piece?
Yeah, I think an hour a night might be a bit generous.
Fair enough.
Probably closer to 20, 25 minutes. But I usually just do the daily protocol. On Thursdays, I don't go to the gym. I just do a little bike, and that's my swimming day as well. Yeah. So on that day, I try to hit the warrior routine, I call it, which is a 45 minute hour long. Yeah. And then other than that, if something's super sore or maybe not feeling that great, I'll take the extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes after that to kind of pinpoint that with a lacrosse ball, foam roll, or whatever.
Cool. That's awesome. It's awesome you got in those habits early. I wish if I go back in time as a 19-year-old, I'd spend a lot more time on mobility. It's just not the sexy piece, but it's honestly, it's what gives you longevity, prevents injuries a whole bit. Sweet. Let's dive into the mental piece a little bit. So and you kind of talked about that with your nutrition coach. There's mental wellness, and there's also competition prep. When you're prepping for a competition mentally, are there drills you're doing, or what are the things you're doing differently kind of leading up to a competition?
Yeah, I think for me, confidence, when I'm riding a confidence high, I feel like I'm untouchable, and it's the exact opposite when I'm not.
Right.
And so it's kind of just lining that confidence high up with the competition for me that I feel like gets me in a really good headspace. Right. Aside from that, I feel like in the past, at the games or even semifinals last year, I found myself getting in this headspace of I'm just happy to be here. I've already exceeded my expectations, which is great because it takes pressure off.
Yeah.
But I feel like at a certain point, I kind of have to ditch that because I'm not there to participate anymore. I'm there to do well. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about going into this year. It's like, I've been to semifinals before. I've done that. It's not that impressive to just make it anymore.
Yeah.
And like, what's the point in spending all these hours and time to just participate? I gotta like actually go for it at some point. So
that's cool. That's easier said than done, right? Like like obviously you got to reward yourself and be happy to be there, but you also need that hunger, right? And those are like two tough things to balance, and like that fierceness, that competitiveness. Like I'm gonna rip this guy's head off on the field right there. And you can't just do that. It's like, oh, sunshine and rainbows. It's
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, get a bit more angry on the floor.
For sure. So do you have specific targets for this year in the 2022 season, or those like kind of tight-lipped, or like what's your approach to this season overall? What would be the ideal for you?
I'm not overly vocal about it, but I think like the goal should be to make the games as soon as possible. So if that means this year, great. Next year, sure. But that's the goal. Like that's what I'm training for. I'm not training for top 10 or top 7.
Yeah. You got to be out there
top
to win.
5. So yeah, exactly.
I love that. So that said, what are your top priorities right now in terms of like your own health, wellness? If you like, as a list is long, but what's like at the top of your list right now? What do your habits look like around those?
I think like school can become
like an
really
afterthought,
drag
I guess,
you
right?
down. So I think like I just want to do well enough in school that it never gets to a point where I'm like stressing about not passing or anything, which in engineering is a significant concern. So
for sure.
Just keeping up with that enough. And then putting everything else I can kind of into just becoming the best athlete I can be, which takes up most of my time. I think getting good sleeps as well puts me in a significantly better headspace and more productive mood every day. So that's one of the top things I strive for, just in terms of keeping my mental health in check, is enough time in bed.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Jack, this has been awesome chat. I really appreciate your time. What's the best place for people to follow your Instagram?
Just at Jack Farlow, my name. Yeah, that's probably the best.
Awesome, man. We'll link to that in the show notes. Well, thanks again for the time. Appreciate it. We'll hopefully we'll check in with you later in the season, see how things are going.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Greg.
Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Healthspan Academy, guys. And we'll see you next time. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. This has been a fun project. We're growing in viewership every single week, and we obviously couldn't do that without you. So thank you for continuing to tune in. I really hope you're getting value out of the programming and the content. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I've been working on a book on health and longevity the last couple of years, been collaborating with my colleague, Dr. Dan Vitale, who's an expert in the field as well. And we've basically just kind of summarized the literature, some of the techniques that we found really useful in the world of biohacking, what our exercise regimen looks like, what's, cardio type stuff is going to help us live longer and healthier, mobility work, nutrition. We've covered the whole spectrum, everything that you can basically be in control of in your health and fitness kind of moving forward to help you live as healthily as possible for as long as possible. And it's available free for download. So if you click on the YouTube banner, you'll see a link to download the blueprint. It's also on our Instagram profile or on the website. You can click on 5pillarmethod.com/optimize to get your free copy of the book. And I hope you enjoy it. Hope you're keeping well. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.